All right. Good morning, everyone. So good afternoon again. So basically, our agenda for today is want to go quickly for Cloud Wikipedia GCP services. The main focus is we'll discuss Looker. So Looker, this is the second session in a three session series focusing Google BI and Looker acquisition. The first one was a couple of weeks ago, where we focused on what is Looker and a high-level overview. Today, we're lucky to have Khaled from Bank Al Etihad to show us how Bank Al Etihad is using Looker for the past 2 years or so. And then we're going to go for, again, another view of Looker for financial services specifically, and how banks and retail bankers can utilize Looker. So quickly, if you don't know Cloudpedia, so we started partnership with Google since 2009, and our focus is two things: modernizing infrastructure and transforming how teams work together. We are a team of Google Cloud professional services, and we focus on things like cloud architecture, data engineering, and so on. And we have few verticals, including financial services, retail, and healthcare. So with that, let's start with Google Cloud. So again, for people who might not have seen Google Cloud before, Google Cloud is this suite of technologies that enables companies to modernize their infrastructure. So if we focus on data in general, we have, the main area, the main foundation of data is data ingestion, right? To get the data in, and Google has few tools there to ingest the data from different sources and from different applications. And then this data, after we ingest them, we need to store them, right? And then Google, again, have multiple tools, including BigQuery for data warehousing and data lake purposes. And then, okay, I have the data storage, or data lake, and then I want to organize it. It becomes a data warehouse. Again, BigQuery can play a big part in this, or something like a managed Hadoop in Google called Cloud Data Proc. And then, okay, I have now this wealth of data, what we call the new oil, how we can utilize it. Then becomes, okay, I need business intelligence. And this is where today's session fits in. But also, there'll be other sessions in the future to focus on, okay, not just looking at business intelligence from data, but also how we can do data science on it, how can we build models, how can we do predictions, and so on. And then how can we do data engineering projects on it, and then we can connect to third-party apps, not just within Google ecosystem. We can extend to other third-party apps that's specified or specific for every industry. So as we see here, Google has this end-to-end platform of solutions that integrate seamlessly together. Today's session, we are here. We are at this high level in the top. So with that, I want to start with Looker, and I want to invite David below, who the territory manager for the MENA region. David?
Yeah, thanks, Yaya. I'm just going to share my screen. Nice to meet you all. So, as Yaya said, I'm a territory manager at Looker / Google Cloud. So, the idea today is to really take you through what Looker sees as data experiences and how we can help companies to create these data experiences for the financial services industry. I'll give you a bit of background. So Looker is fully part of the GCP family now. Really excited about this. The vision of the platform of the company for the last 8-9 years has always been to empower people with the smarter use of data. What it means by this is we're moving away from the legacy systems where only the data team was able to access the data. There's much more data-hungry workforce lately, and we need to be able to provide and allow anybody within the organization to have access to the data. We've been doing it, obviously, for the last few years through over nearly 3,000 customers now, and we see that the digital transformation, the way that the IT departments are moving towards the cloud approach as well, and the willingness of the companies to really provide customized data experiences, customized customer experiences, has led as well out of 2 customers to really be really transparent with their end customers. So with the lack of integrating the insights that they gather from Looker into their own platform. what we seen and what basically the analysts have seen over for 2020 in terms of trends, it's really that obviously data and modernization is huge and has massive implications into the business. All around, like, financial institutions recognize the power of data, but also the fact of moving to the cloud and obviously automating all the time-consuming processes that have been in place for decades in some institutions. Now that we've identified these different trends for 2020, how does it actually translate within your organization? Obviously, the technology part's been touched on the cloud approach, but also in terms of business applications, where does modern stack of data analytics bring the value to the companies? So could be the likes of personalized product recommendations. We can touch base on this a bit later, but also like having fraud management, detection, real-time alerting, also competitive share in the market compared to other financial institutions. And that's going to help bringing much more value to all the data that you've been gathering or you gather on a daily basis. And we've been helping today over 200 different type of financial institutions to really use the most of the data they've been gathering without having to all the time having to go through the data. Now, in terms of why Looker in the financial services, we've seen trends moving over the last decades in terms of the BI world, if you can say. It's not just like traditional visualization tool that you're looking at. It's more, what do I do? What can I create? Or what kind of actions can I take from the insights I'm going to be able to uncover? And obviously, that's going to create what we call data experiences. But the examples you've got here in terms of conversion rates, customer lifetime value, actions on frauds, all of these different 3 use cases should speak to anybody within the financial institutions today. And to get there, this Looker has been built on 3 main pillars. The first one is obviously we believe that the data should stay in your database. So Looker doesn't store any data. So obviously for security, data privacy reasons, that's important. But also because we're connecting directly to your database, if you're looking to provide real-time analytics to your business stakeholders, to your end customers, obviously something that Looker can help to provide. And if you think of any of you who invested heavily into data lake, invested heavily into the likes of BigQuery, we want you to be able to leverage the speed and the power of that database without having to do some aggregation at the database level, extract and import. The second pillar we're covering, it's really in terms of providing a data governance layer across the whole organization. That means that anybody will work off the same definitions and KPIs, the metrics, but also it's all being managed through obviously user attributes, the security aspect to it. And having that data dictionary is going to allow a real self-service approach for business users who don't have any technical knowledge. That means that as a business user, I can easily go into Looker and drill down all the way down to the raw level of the data without having to constantly come back to the data. The third pillar is really in terms of, again, these insights you're going to uncover, what you want to do out of this. It's really the API in the backend of Looker that's going to allow to take actions for the likes of real-time alerting, text messaging, triggering emails, the lack of collaborating with Slack, for example, or any other type of tools that you're using at the moment, but you'd like to automate the current manual workflows. So what does it mean exactly? Like in terms of, if you look at the 3 pillars, how they would be reflected within your industry. The fact that the data basically staying in the database, it's really getting a full 360 view to anybody within the organization, having that fraud management, which is really important as well within the platform, but also in terms of compliance, personalizing and recommending products to specific customers, and obviously all that automation through the model integrations. The value propositions in terms of the business, as I said, it's really, Khaled is going to go through it after, but it's really allowing non-technical users to ask and answer their own questions without having to go back to the data team, the engineering team constantly. But it's also giving that 360 view of the customer and allow the sales team, the customer success team, the marketing team to really take actions. And one of the use cases here, it's really to automate messages for the online banking instead of basically blasting a message to your whole customer base. For the technology side, again, really it's making everything that you've built into that governing, that modeling layer of Looker, you can reuse it. You don't have to rewrite it constantly. You don't have to go back to it. It's easy to maintain, but also it's reliable. So there's no more data discrepancies because everybody works off the same metrics and same definitions. And to give you an overview of the architecture that we have in place, it's really having all your data sources there at the bottom, centralized in one SQL database, so the likes of BigQuery. And the difference here, it's we don't force any aggregation at the database level. We really want to allow the business users to self-serve. So that means that we're querying directly the database, and you've got here the modeling layer in place with the different KPIs and metrics that everybody can work off the same definitions. Obviously, the security approach, the in-database approach, and then the data experiences that can be created could be through modern BI, the likes of Simply Business, who basically put in place, managed to help the sales team and basically add an improvement on the revenue. The other part is more in terms of integrating insights. The example would be Stripe, who basically decided to embed Looker into their internal sales force. So the sales team knew exactly what was going on within their customers. Operational workflows, it's more like where can you streamline and automate something that's basically been in place for a while, that's taking time and resources and doesn't need any manual work. And the fourth part is really in terms of custom applications where you can build a full portal like global payments to allow the merchants to go in there and have a look at revenue retention of their customers. Another few examples of what Looker could help within the industry, it's really managing cross-sellings, critical marketing, risk management, fraud analysis, and much more of them. But the good thing with the GCP Looker being one tool, one family, it's really providing a full scope, a full solution, as an example here for the retail banking, to the different Google Cloud existing data sets, existing products, the API management, the AI platform. If you look at the way that would look like, it would be obviously your computing, BigQuery, Looker, and then push that data through the likes of custom applications with RPG being involved and AI. A quick example of a customer who's been basically, it's one of the top 3 financial services and investment bank in the US. The idea was to really feed insights to their asset management team. So they've built a full custom application that allowed the different people from the asset management team to really drill down, create their own reports and dashboards, have a better approach on better visualization and dynamic and add basically different variances between dates. The impact is really in terms of the cost saving of having all of this automated for them, and obviously for the asset management team, a better approach for the customers. So, thank you. Khaled?
Yes. You want to say something, Yahya, before I start?
Thanks so much. I think Dina from Cloudpedia, please introduce Khaled Ghaiba for us.
Yeah, sure. Thank you, David, for this insightful presentation. I would like, I'm very excited actually to have our guest today with us presenting Bank Al Etihad use case, Mr. Khaled Ghaiba, our AI director of Bank Al Etihad. He's been with the Bank Al Etihad since December 2018, building the single source of truth for data analysis and reporting, as well as transaction streaming on bank's downstreams app. Has over 22 years of experience in technology, with the last 5 years in big data infrastructure implementation using Cloudera Hortonworks stack for telecoms and banks, including Berkeley UK and MTN mobile operators. So I'm very excited to have you with us, Mr. Khaled, and please start with.
It's Barclays. Anyways. Hello, everybody. Good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are in quarantine. As David just mentioned, we in Bank Al Etihad, we are projecting exactly what David just mentioned about the pillars and the target outcomes from Looker as a BI tool. I'll just go quickly with the agenda of my presentation. Can you all see my screen, just to make sure? And just one, can someone tell me yes?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah,
Thank
we
you.
can see it.
Okay, so in these couple of slides, I'll show how we implemented Looker on top of the data warehouse system we have in the bank, and what types of looks or dashboards we use in the bank. Bank Al Etihad is based in Jordan, only in Jordan. It's number 3 now in growth in Jordan. So it's bank number 3 in Jordan. Our focus and goal is to 100% digitally transform the bank from the as-is to the digital world through the digital arm, Finto.io, which is the company that manages the digital transformation of the bank processes. One of these processes is trend analysis, AI, using human resources tools such as Looker. So to achieve that digital transformation and to provide 100% visibility and transparency of the golden source of truth of data to executives to make quick and scientific decisions, we have to have a tool that does that. So reflecting what David just mentioned about the strengths and muscles of Looker, we focused on 3-4 items to use Looker for. Mainly financial reports, which is so obvious because we're a bank eventually. So we have to report trend analysis reports in real time or on daily or weekly, monthly basis for executives, where we show only trend of data, not raw data. We're concerned about trends more than raw data, because raw data is simply can be managed by officers rather than decision support system. And we use Looker as well to monitor the processes, the turnaround time of each process executed by all the bank departments to measure the effectiveness of the processes after we digitally transform them. and and we monitor the process itself. Meaning, let's assume we cross-sell a product and we need to measure how many people are signing or registering in this service. Looker helps us in this, in showing how people are coming in or opting in this service or not. So we effectively monitor the launch or provision of any system or service immediately. As well as we use Looker to monitor the technology performance of Jira tickets. I'm sure most of you are technologically know how Jira is used for projects and support tickets, technical support tickets. And we use Looker on top of Jira to manage, or sorry, to monitor the performance of the technology tool. Kind of an HR technology tool, if you want to resemble it. In financial reports, we, as I mentioned, trend analysis for reports, comparing year to year, year to date, loans, deposits, trends, the balances of customers. Again, it's a trend, not particular customers. It's the aggregate of the customers rather than naming somebody because of governance sensitivity of the bank or any financial institute. Um, it's very intuitive reports and trends. Looker has a very powerful visualizations where any executive can easily detect anomalies or downside or upside of any trend. Data is cached. Looker has a nice caching feature in caching the rendered data. So people, I mean executives, who look at the trends do not have any performance issues with or performance problems with connecting to Looker or seeing the dashboard. Scheduled reporting, which automatically, this is part of the what David said, the automation part, where it's everything is automated. Me, myself, and my team do not touch the reports. They just disseminate every morning, and everybody is happy. The nice thing about Looker, you can drill down into a certain level of data, even to the customer level if you want, but we don't force that in our looks and dashboards for the sensitivity of data. Where anybody, executives, can drill down to see why the trend is happening for example, loan postponements, for example, or interest rates are getting higher or lower for in a certain period of time. The nice thing about Looker, which David emphasized on as well, is the governance of data, where I mean the BI department can control who can see what and when. So even that Looker looks at the data, only queries the golden source of data, not does not save the data. We built a model with privileges on certain groups of people. For example, in my case, we have retail department, finance department, risk control department, where each department has specific security access to specific aggregates. For example, the sum of balances of all deposits. Not everybody can see it in Looker, while finance director can see it. This is one of the, based on the organization structure. As I said, we use Looker and hook it up with Jira to read the performance of technology department employees' performance. So each ticket on Jira or any, okay, Jira is a support ticketing tool. You can define projects or sprints of agile practitioners or or a support tickets by support team, and you can measure the time taken to close any ticket or task in a project. So all these aggregates of data per employee is manipulated in a Looker model where we present dashboards, and hence automatically we can evaluate on daily basis, not even in annual. It's not even annual. We can today measure the performance of the technology team, whether on projects or tickets supported. That's a nice thing about Looker. You can. It's not a classical boring HR annual review. You can review the guys anytime in the year, and we allowed the employees, the technology employees, to have access to this evaluation, if you want to call it evaluation, per their user credentials. Again, it's governed in Looker, where everybody can see his own performance using the Looker report. So at the end of the year, no one will get surprised of his performance if that is the case. I hope we don't have anyone from HR in this call. Anyway, can you hear me well, guys?
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's very excellent. Yeah.
Excellent.
Okay. Other part of Looker usage. Okay, so first we talked about financial reports, then the technical team evaluation reports, and then now the business process management reports, where we effectively, as I just talked earlier, measuring the KPIs of the performance of any business process we introduce in the bank. For example, if we introduce a new service on the mobile application, let's call it, for example, create a new credit card or request new credit card. We can measure the how many people asked for this service, and how long did it take within the bank in the operations department to execute and fulfill this request through the business process management tool. We have a business process management. It's a web application, also digitally transformed, it's paperless work, also on the cloud, on the private cloud, of course, where everything is digitally transformed, so operations team can possibly execute the transaction or the request through the weekend from home as a digital bank. So we have looks dashboards in Looker where we measure the turnaround time of each business process, whether a new one or an existing. And hence the executives, like the retail manager or the operations director, can quickly look at the trends of the turnaround time and easily pinpoint where are the deficiencies in which process and from which employee as well. So he or she can automatically, it's not automatically, actually, he or she can next day figure out the reason of delays in the turnaround time, and again run the report again and see if the trend is going down or up in the turnaround time. And it's all automated as well. The reports go to the directors every, I actually forgot the schedule, but it's most probably every morning as well. In consolidation, everything I just talked about, the financial transaction, the financial reports, evaluation, and the new business processes or existing processes monitoring, it's all under the umbrella of digital transformation, as well as if you want, we will have a cherry on the top where the website visit, the online banking application, and the mobile application and how many churned customers or new to bank customers are coming in the bank. They're all consolidated under the digital transformation dashboards, where we as technology team, the Finto team, are more interested to read because we need to see, to measure our technology department performance, to make sure that the digital transformation is done efficiently. I took the privilege to, can you see I had to mask the measures and the labels of the widgets here, so for the sensitivity of data. Again, what we really concerned about in Looker is to show trends rather than raw data. We don't care about a specific customer name or specific customer account number. We care about the total sum of these rather than the drill down of these are different types of looks. We did use Looker where we compare different. Here we compare kinds of transactions, by the way, but just to let you know, and you can automatically and clearly see that the difference between this orangish and yellowish. So anybody can automatically know at this specific date that this kind of transactions is taking more momentum than this. As you can see, also in weekends it's down. So anyway, these are only examples of what I'm trying to show you here. Again, trends. We're addicted to trends, so we can know what's happening with a specific onboarding business process, and comparing day to day. See these days where you can see that this pie part is not available in specific dates. We have different flavors of dashboards, pie charts and aggregates, and even geo based to see where the concentration is happening of customers using specific service as well, even to the service level. What else? Slide. I guess these are the only slides I have. Sorry, I can't share more than that. I'm happy to answer any question of argument. Dina?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Presentation and the trends that kindly, any questions, please drop them.
We can't hear you well, actually. But
What? Sorry?
Dina? Yahya?
Yeah, I think Dina has technical issues. So yeah, there's a question here from the audience. So question to you, Khaled, is about the evaluation of Looker. You've started using Looker a few years ago, as you mentioned. How was the evaluation process, and why you ended up using Looker?
Yeah, okay. That's a good question, actually. We in the bank, or Finto, the digital arm of the bank, are focused on using mainly scripting language applications or non-proprietary locked applications or tools. So we're avoiding, in general, not only in BI, in general, we look for a scripting, open API-driven, GitHub-driven, programming language-driven applications. So Looker has this LookML scripting language, which you build models using code if you want, and which is very nice. And that's actually one primary goal, as well as the GitHub versioning of Looker models, where you can push your code into a GitHub branch, and you can, of course, it's a version control system, so you can manage your dashboards using the code, right? And this feature is the most lucrative feature that made me go to Looker. Again, we have other BI tools. We have Oracle OBI, the BI server of Oracle, and we have for small tasks and scope Microsoft Power BI. But this is not the scope of what we're talking about here. But the power of Looker is the coding, as I just mentioned, the open community and support of that code from Looker team, I mean, Looker support team. I mean. And price is not, compared to this feature, it's not that much actually. And as well as the iterative builds and releases of Looker. Looker, like when we started in 2018, they had, I can't remember how many visual looks, the ones I showed you now, but now they're like growing every month. So the development of Looker releases is continuous, and actually the releases are like in weeks and sometimes maybe months, but when their new release comes in, it's like a wow, it's a wow release. And with the release notes, our features are like very well tuned with the with customer satisfaction, customer needs. Actually, people can submit their requests on features, and Looker studies them, similar to any GitHub project, and then a release comes in with these features. For implementation, or deployment of Looker compared to others, when we evaluated it's a cloud-based application or service. So you simply have a URL in one day, and you'll be up and running and connecting to your golden source of data bases, and simply start doing it the next day. Actually, this is what I did in person. You can also implement it in your own private network, which is an option as well. It needs some time, but it's doable as well with the help of DevOps team inside your premise. I hope I answered your question, Yahya.
Thank you so much. So I think also you answered a mix of the next two questions. So the question as well we have from Rahim Sheikh is how long it took to implement, how many weeks or months?
Yeah. So as I said, when we used the Looker instance, not our own private network, but we had the option. Actually, our DevOps engineer or director was going to do that and deploy it on our cloud. But with the good two-factor authentication, etc., and the mutation of data, we don't push. We don't have sensitive data to be worried about if we used Looker instance. So we went through Looker, and once we signed the contract, the next day, actually, really, the next day, I was up and running. I'm looking at the questions. How many? I hope, Rahim, I answered your first question. The second question, how many in-house resources and external resources using Looker? Okay. Looker has different roles. So there's an admin, there's a developer, and there is a user, or the one who consumes reports. We have 12 developers who create those looks and the nice things you saw. And we have 57 so far users who are looking at the looks. But our license is more than 57. But we are very, very keen to know who needs to see what. Because sometimes, most of the times, we push the reports as emails. We don't need users to log in to Looker. I mean, that's the nice thing about Looker. You can send the report as email without having the user to be a user.
Understood. Thank you so much.
All
right. So yeah, and I think you also answered the question of can Looker be a SaaS version only, or can be on private and cloud? And the answer is yes. It can be also hosted on-prem. So we have a new question. The question says the Jira use case is very inspiring. It saves a lot of pluggings and efforts. And the question is, how and where do you ingest your Jira data into Looker? Direct connection or some ETL like Stitch or so on, and BigQuery? And which one do you?
We used a connector from a company called Fivetran. Okay, let me type
Fivetran.
Sorry, Fivetran. So
Fivetran.
Fivetran connector basically reads from Jira, your Jira instance, Hassan, and pushes the issues and tickets aggregates. I mean, not aggregate, tickets details to any destination you want. We use Redshift as a sync database. You can use BigQuery, you can use any. So Fivetran simply reads from Jira and drops the data into a different database, let's say. And we build our Jira, Looker reports on top of Redshift. So, and the nice thing about this Fivetran connector, it only pulls the changes that happen on Jira. So it doesn't do that every day, pull every ticket details from Jira. It only gets the changes. And then the nice thing about Fivetran is they gave us, it's an open source, by the way. You can go to the internet and get the data models of Jira on Looker. So you just copy and paste Jira dashboards, LookML language. That's the beauty of language reports, because you can take the report as a language, as a script, like JavaScript, okay? And you simply plug it into your Looker instance, and boom, you have your own Jira dashboard ready.
And then you can share it internally and so on.
Sorry?
And then you can share it internally or schedule the report and so on.
Yes, exactly. And I mean the technology team in our case, start to look at the Looker dashboards and see the performance of the team. Another integration, if you want to call it integration, this is not part of any questions here. Another part of integration we did is as I mentioned, we have the business processes dashboard, right? Where we measure a new service, how it's performing in the bank. So this look, as David just mentioned, that it integrates through APIs to another system. So these reports or looks or dashboard in Looker, we expose them as an API to our business process management tool itself that introduces those services. And the user on the business process management tool can see the performance of the business process from Looker, but within the business process management tool itself. He or she doesn't have to go to Looker to look at the performance. It's embedded into the business process management tool. So that's the beauty of API-driven reports, actually.
Thank you so much. All right, so thank you so much. I think David, if you, I think you had a live dashboard for how a bank branch can use Looker.
Yeah, I can show you the next 2 minutes. Just to give you really because obviously Khaled was not able to share because of data security, all the different information. It's just to show you an example of if we take the retail banking approach there, and the way the different branches would be targeted or have their own KPIs, own measurements in terms of performances. That would be, for example, this one would be an asset overview of what's happening. Obviously, the ability to drill down on each of one of these different KPIs, different tiles, and really be able to slice and dice and go all the way down to the raw level of that data. And all of this, we are having to go back to obviously the technical team. From there, there's all the type of real-time alerting that you can put in place. If you look at this one here in terms of the number of clients, you can define if the threshold of the number of clients is below what you expect or what you're supposed to generate. You can get that automatically sent out to you or to someone else. The other type of KPIs that we've got would be the outflow per categories. But also the nice thing is with Looker, you can just have a first have a main template of dashboard for all your customers and use their, based on the filter, which is the account ID, to get that 360 view mentioned earlier about that specific account in terms of the different transactions, the balance over time, and any type of KPIs you guys are using now could be replicated. And there, as you see, it's live data. I can just change the account ID and get the data from a new account. The other part would be around the cross-selling approach. Obviously, in terms of credit cards, in terms of loans, again, the idea is to be able to drill down and get access to more information, more details about specific tiers, age tiers of people who requested a loan, where it's coming from, and really, again, take actions from it. The example here is through a third-party integration with an email provider, send a financial letter automatically to that specific loan, that person who requested that loan, a warning letter, and so on. There's obviously any type of action you can think of, could be there, the client saving accounts details to be shared, that type of things. And once I'm on it, and that's what Khaled mentioned, loads of these informations, you don't need to go back constantly to be on the platform. All of this can be sent, scheduled, and allow someone who wants to explore and go into more detail into the data to create their own reports and dashboards. So that's what basically the self-service layer is there for. So you've got all that data dictionary here, and just by point and click, you can create your own reports and dashboards and then save it to the team.
And this can be shared with the branch manager, basically, to use to understand their daily operations.
Yeah, exactly. You can schedule it either every time, you can have it in place every morning, or you can have it every time the data is changing, that being triggered automatically to someone as a recipient.
Very good. Thank you so much. All right. So if anyone have any questions to David or Khaled or ask Cloudipedia, please let us know. We had today with us Khaled Ghoraiba, the BI director of Bank Al Etihad in Jordan. Thank you so much, Khaled, for the insights and your expertise and how you use this tool and share it with the community. We really appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, everyone, if you have any questions or you have further questions or want to also reach out directly to Khaled, I think, Khaled, if you're okay with that, if someone from a different bank want to reach out and exchange some ideas with you.
Sure. I'm available.
Thank you so much. So the next session we'll have is about a little bit technical. So it's going to be a deep dive in Looker. We're going to go a little bit in more details on how to set up Looker, how to utilize it, how to use it, the Looker ML language, and so on and so forth. So that will be the next session. The date is yet to be set and shared with you all. And with that, thank you so much, everyone, for your time. Really appreciate it. Thank you so much, David and Dina and everyone. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Have a nice day.
Great.
Bye.
Thank you.